Good morning, Gospel Light Baptist Church family. Thank you for joining me this morning. Let's go to the book of Proverbs today. Proverbs chapter number 30, and we're going to read verse number 5. Proverbs chapter 30, verse number 5. Every word of God is pure. Every word of God is pure. When I was in Bible college, for a short period of time, I worked, I think for about, how many months was it? 8 months. I know it was less than a year. I worked at an aluminum factory, I guess you could call it. But they, basically what they did was they processed aluminum ingots and different things like that to sell to people who buy aluminum. And they had these huge furnaces where they would purify the aluminum, and there were different methods of doing it. So one, they had this huge furnace where you had this big, long, spoon-looking thing, and you would scoop out the dross from the top of the furnace and dump it out into this little, kind of concrete trash bin thing. And then another way they would clean it out is they would burn it, melt the aluminum, and then pour it into these concrete molds. Okay, and as they would come down, you had these smaller little scoop things and just scoop up the dross along the top and dump it out. And because every time you melt the aluminum, the dross would float to the top. And, there were varying degrees of purity within these different aluminum ingots. Some of them were more pure than others. And you can visibly see the difference. Those that were refined a little bit longer and more of the impurities were removed, it was a much shinier looking aluminum than the ones that were, a little bit dirtier, I guess, because they had more impurities in it. And when I read this passage here that every word of God is pure, I'm kind of reminded of that because I love to read and read books, and I love to listen to wise men. Obviously the many men of God, and also even just other not necessarily religious men, but very smart, very wise men that I like to listen to. Especially when it comes to different topics, whether it's about money or philosophy or whatnot, and politics, of course, and I like to read, and I like to learn from other people. However, whenever we hear the words of man, we have to remember that the words of man are going to have some impurities in it, so to speak. Okay, the words of man are not perfect because man is not perfect. Man is very fallible, and sometimes if we make the mistake of lifting up a man too high, if that man were to fall, or that man were to fall into sin, or if he was a pastor or a man of God or something, I mean, it could devastate us, and really, I've seen it happen, really mess you up, and hurt a lot. But if we rely on God, He will never let us down. And, the words of man is good, but the word of God is pure. It's perfect. It's like that shiny, silvery looking aluminum. All the dross has been removed. It is pure words, the word of God. And look at the next part here, because the verse says, every word of God is pure, and has a colon. It's not the end of a sentence. The sentence continues with this: He is a shield unto them that put their trust in Him. There's a reason why this is put together here. Trusting in God. It's not just, trusting in some imaginary person, but it's trusting in His word, which we are able to read, which we have access to. When we say that we trust in God, when we want God to be our shield and we want to place our trust in that God, it is putting our trust in His word, because they are pure words. And so I hope you're putting your trust in the word of God with your life, and I assure you, he will be a shield unto you. You will not regret it. We're going to stop right there. God bless you. Have a wonderful Thursday. May God bless you in all that you do. Stay healthy, stay safe. Bye-bye.